Greetings, dear listeners. Hope you're all doing well. I'm going to apologize in advance for any traffic noise in the background. But as our email tonight involves a Harley-Davidson motorcycle and a car chase, you could just sort of regard it as atmosphere, I guess. Now, a while ago, I uploaded a video called Headley, the story of the headless biker who haunts the North Service Road in the town where I grew up. Now, how did he lose his head, you ask? How did he lose his head? Well, I'll tell you. You see, Headley was a bit of a jerk. Actually, he was a mean and aggressive asshole with lots of enemies. And one Saturday night at midnight, two of those enemies strung a piano wire, a thin strand of piano wire, across the North Service Road because they knew that every Saturday night at midnight, Headley would ride down the service road on his motorcycle, his Harley-Davidson chopper with its distinct red headlight. He would ride down the service road at midnight on Saturday nights at excessive speeds, well over 100 miles an hour. Well, sure enough, along comes Headley, and when he reaches the piano wire, chop, chop, it sliced his head clear off, his head landing in the ditch, while the chopper, with its headless rider, powered by both speed and momentum, continued on for another mile and a half before it too crashed into the ditch. And ever since then, Headley has haunted the North Service Road. And every Saturday night at midnight, he goes riding. Well, you know, in this chaotic, ever-changing world of ours right now, it's really nice sometimes to find that some of the old traditions, old ways are still carrying on. So listen to this. Hey Warren, we've been watching some of your videos about weird stuff on the North Service Road, specifically the one about Headley, the headless biker. So we decided to try and contact him. And so 4 of us took a Ouija board. I know you don't really approve of them, but we were totally bored. And we went to the spot where he was decapitated and set up the board in a nearby field on a night when the moon was dark. We had to use a flashlight to see what we were doing. The first question we asked, after a lot of dumb jokes, was the standard, "Is there anyone there?" The pointer thing, the planchette, moved immediately to yes. Trish said we were moving it with our fingers, but we weren't. The next question, of course, was, "Who are you? Who are you?" And then the thing spelled out Headley. Headley, no way our fingers were doing that. We then asked if he was riding tonight, even though it wasn't Saturday, his usual night, and the planchette moved to yes. We then asked when, and it spelled out midnight. We asked a few other dumb questions, then waited for midnight, and nothing happened. So we packed up and decided to go to Mac's, as we all had the munchies, and headed back to town. But something seemed off. First, there was very little traffic. Believe it or not, there was very little traffic. Not even on the Queen Elizabeth Highway, which is next to the service road, and it just seemed quiet. And then Trish started babbling that someone was following us, and we all looked back And there it was, in the distance, a solitary red light, like the red headlight of a motorcycle. Headley's Harley-Davidson chopper. I told Trish to moon him, but she didn't think that was funny. And I realized that if Headley had a thing for big booties, we'd never get rid of him that way. The red headlight was gaining on us. So I decided to take the highway. No way a ghost was going to follow us on the Queen Elizabeth. I got off at your favorite street, Kerr Street. But then we saw the damn red headlight behind us again. And once again, there weren't any other people or cars around. We were all freaking out, and I must have driven around town for an hour, trying to lose him. He would get closer and then drop back, and sometimes we could see him clearly in his black leathers, but without a head. Without a head. And there were never any cars or people around. I kept praying that we wouldn't hit a red light, a red traffic light. We finally lost him when we got to Max, which, as you know, is very well lit. We were totally freaked out and no longer hungry, and we vowed never to touch a Ouija board again. I dropped the girls off, but on my way home, he was back. Headley was back and right on my tail. When I got home, I didn't even lock the car. Just ran into the house and turned out all the lights. Headley drove past very slowly. I couldn't tell if he was looking at the house because he doesn't have a head, does he? And now he rides by every night and follows me around if I go driving after dark, even though no one else is able to see him. No one but me. How can I get rid of him? We should never have screwed around with that damn Ouija board. Please help. Kira and Jokeville. Well, it seems to me, Kira, you have a few options. One option is just to stay in the house for the rest of your life until you grow old and die, and maybe Headley will forget about you. Mind you, if you're dead, maybe you could join him on the back of the chopper and go riding with him Saturday night. But just a word of advice, when you get to the piano wire, be sure to duck. The other thing you could do would be to drive by your friend Trish's house, because if Headley's... see if you could lure Headley over to your friend Trish's house, because if Headley's like most bikers, he likes big booties, big boobs, and maybe he'd latch onto her. Although that doesn't seem like a very nice thing to do to a friend. But I think your best option is to just go about your business and don't pay any attention to him. Ignore him. Act like he isn't there. Show him that you don't care if he follows you around or not. You know, because Headley's basically a bully, and bullies thrive on intimidation. And once they find that you're not intimidated, you're indifferent, they lose interest. And he'll go and slink back to the North Service Road. But what do you think, dear listeners? What advice would you give Kira? Let us both know in the comments below. And stay safe, stay subscribed, ring that bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos. I've got good news recently. The studio is reopening, so I should be back in the studio with some improved content for you starting next week. So please feel free to share tonight's video or any other video or any of the new upcoming videos with anyone you please. If this is your first visit to my channel, please consider subscribing. My name is Warren, and I write and tell original ghost stories and original horror stories about cryptids like the Night Floaters, werewolves, and the Black-Eyed Children. And of course, let's all stay hungry. And be sure to eat your fill. We can, because we have heads and we have mouths. So be sure to eat your fill in this life, because you don't know what the icebox is like up there. but I got a feeling it's just full of like healthy stuff, celery or yogurt. And I don't think you can depend on the larder down below. Although I bet they've got Mott's pickled bean clamato juice. Big glass of Mott's pickled bean with 4 fingers of Fireball, topped off with a little Worcester sauce and a little Tabasco sauce. Now there's a drink. You got breath fiery as Godzilla after that. But enough of me. I'm now going to ask the lovely and long-suffering camera crew to give us a panorama shot of tonight's surroundings. It looks like everybody's left, so we should be able to get a beautiful panorama. So, till midnight, stay tuned for the upcoming brand new studio content next week. Cheers.